The Concord Township meeting for Tuesday, June 4th, and we'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As a point of housekeeping, earlier this afternoon, we received a correspondence from the Garden Valley School District under business items number 7, Resolution 28-2024, preliminary final land development for Garden Valley School District. They have requested an extension. That hearing, that resolution will not be acted on this evening. It will be moved forward to, I think, our meeting on July 2nd. Same time, same place. So anybody that's here for that item, I'd go home and watch the Phillies if I had the chance. But anyway, moving into our regular township business, we have a Concord Preservation Award winner. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Crossan to do the honors.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is actually a county preservation award that was awarded to Robert and Robin Little for the LSP Yarnell House in Concord Township. The LSP Yarnell House is a 1920 home located at 764 Concord Road and is a Class II historic resource on the township's historic register. It's an important resource to Concord Township, and the efforts on behalf of Robert and Robin Little to preserve the integrity of the house have been essential to maintaining the site for years to come. The Yarnell House was originally a 2-story farmhouse with 4 fireplaces and sat on 20 acres along Concord Road. It's had 2 additions since it was built in 1860 and then again most recently in 1998. The Littles have been restoring and renovating the house since they bought it in 1996 and completed the renovations with the following projects in the last 3 years, where they rebuilt the basement doors to look like original doors and used forged black iron strap hinges, rebuilt all exterior wood soffits and fascias, replaced all shutters and hinges with new painted wood shutters, cast metal hinges, and forged black iron shutter dogs, and removed the stucco to expose the stone and brick walls. The Concord Township Historical Society nominated Robert and Robin Little for the Delaware County Preservation Award, which they did receive recently, and tonight Concord Township would like to recognize them, congratulate them for achievement.
Okay. We have a motion to do so. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bob, you want to come up and say anything, or just we thank you for your preservation efforts, but
all I can say is you really like to, I'm getting all jumbled here. You have to really like old homes because it's certainly an investment. And as an architect who, I would say I'm really more of a pure modernist in terms of my education and the work I do professionally, this was something different. You know, there was a learning curve in terms of doing some research and study in terms of what would be appropriate and what would not be appropriate. So, you know, we look at it as something that's enjoyable and something that hopefully we can pass on to another generation and they can enjoy the house. And if they're going to change it to something different, I hope I've passed away by that point, you know. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, well done. Next, we have a report on the Race for the Watershed, Newland Gritsmill and Concord Township event. Steve, I think you have Brenda Orso with you from the Gritsmill. If you guys want to come forward and explain to us what you're up to.
Good evening, Council. Thank you. Yeah, here with Brenda Orso from the Newland Gristmill. I just wanted to talk briefly about our upcoming event, the 5K trail run and rubber duck regatta, the Race for the Watershed. It's the second year of this event. We had a great year last year. Over 120 runners and 350 rubber ducks floated down the streams of the Newland Gristmill. And the event this year will be held next Saturday, June 15th, at the Gristmill. It's a great family-friendly day for all. We have dozens of exhibitors, food vendors, kids' games and activities, and a lot of information about watershed protection all the money raised for this fundraiser will go to help to restore our watershed. So hopefully folks can attend. For more information, we have listed on our website, townshipofconcord.com, and the Gristmill has it on their website as well, newlandgristmill.org.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Upcoming events, I counted, there are 17 events listed, and rather read through all of them, but they vary from Concord Walks to the drive-in movie with E.T. E.T. is the movie, E.T. won't sit in the car with you. Family yoga in the park, bird watches, Zumba, things of that nature. All these events are on our website, and they're also listed in your agenda if you'd like to take them home, but please visit the website for further information. Under our monthly reports, public safety, Vanita.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. We had a little delay in getting the reports from Pennsylvania State Police due to their technical difficulties. So I have a short report today based on the fire marshal's highlights. The fire marshal reviewed open burning regulations with one of the homeowners in the township. The fire, while it was a burn day, was 20 feet high and 20 feet across. The fire was creating dangerous situation, which was then taken care of. The fire marshal also investigated vehicle fire, several electrical fires, and a motor vehicle accident into a building. MOVE healthcare staff had asked the fire marshal's office to develop and present a training seminar for safety handling hazardous items and fire safety procedures. The training was completed last month in May. Fire marshal also completed the needed inspections related to the sprinkler hydro inspection at different locations. Pennsylvania State Police was also notified of resident complaints of panhandlers approaching customers in Wawa parking lot. Generally, in comparison to last year's reports and records, we saw a reduction in the number of the fire and non-fire related incidents. Thank you to all the residents for your efforts towards it, and I do appreciate you all. Rescue and emergency medical services take the major portion of the number of incidents that require services from Fire Marshal and Concordville Fire Association, which is understandable knowing the percentage of senior community in our township, and we will do everything possible to take care of our seniors in the township and their emergency needs. Thank you to the Concordville Fire Association and their ambulance and rescue services. With summer holidays for Garnet Valley School District starting next month, Pennsylvania State Police will be hosting their annual Troop K Camp Cadet program, which will be for children ages 11 through 14. Please visit their website to register if interested at www.troopcampcadet.com. For the tips of the month, there is a heat wave anticipated by the Weather Channel. I do request all the residents, please drink plenty of fluids and keep hydrated, stay in shade, and stay cool. Take care of the kids, our seniors, and our pets. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to point out that the council met in executive session earlier this evening prior to the meeting regarding litigation. Second, open space, John Crossan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a few events this last month. We had a township park cleanup with the Garnet Valley football seniors. Our Parks and Rec director spoke and attended the Delco Sustainability Conference, and we hosted an online open house regarding the Concord Connector study, which was well attended and a robust discussion. We have, as you noted, several events coming up this month with the E.T. movie. This week, the Race for the Watershed next week. Our first concert in the park is on June 22nd, Chico's Vibe, with the opening act of Bailey Run. And then we have an adult pickleball social at the end of the month. And more broadly, we have various walking and wellness programs scheduled as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gillespie, Sewer and Public Works.
Yes, thank you. With regard to the sewer operations, on May 21st, a world-renowned microbiologist, Steve Leach, came in and gave a wastewater microbiology class to the operations staff. The training was well received and all the operators were present and agreed it was very insightful. And also in Foxhole Farms, there was a sanitary manhole that needed to be adjusted. And also throughout the town, they performed 4 low-pressure installation inspections as well as 10 gravity sewer laterals for resale. And finally, both sewer plants are running within permit and without any major issues. And regarding Public Works, the township parking lot right here on our campus, the Public Works construction team excavated to an overgrown basin to restore proper stormwater drainage. And Public Works also cleared vegetation in the right-of-way in the area of the road shoulder of Spring Valley Road between Temple and James Hayward Road. And also potholes were filled throughout the town for driver and pedestrian safety this month. That's the end of the report.
Thank you. Building and Code Enforcement, Colleen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Total permits issued for the month of May are 105. Year-to-date, 558 permits have been processed by the township. 17 certificate of occupancies were issued. And some new businesses that we have on final COs include Clear Choice Dental, Smoke and Vape Shop, Rosenthal Companies Management Company, Game Day Men's Health in Glen Mills, Cross Country Mortgage, and Amy Schullery LLC in Regency Plaza. Some interesting news to share about the great work that our township staff do. The average turnaround time for non-reviewable permits is 2 to 3 days in the township. Reviewable residential permits are averaging 15 business days, and if they're sealed plans, they average 5 business days, and commercial plans are 30 business days. So these are some really good turnaround times on the delivery of permits throughout the township. So thank you for the work that the staff does, Amanda.
Great, thank you. Planning Commission, Larry.
Yes, the Planning Commission agenda meeting was held on May 13th, and the public meeting was held on the 20th. 2 projects they went over were Orchard Knoll, which was approved to council for preliminary plans, and the Garnet Valley School District redevelopment, high school, middle school, prelim, and final land development. New projects for them, the LU 81 LLC at 120 Ivy Mills Road is a minor subdivision. Their meetings are June 10th, and the public meeting is June 17th. That's it for planning.
Thank you. Solicitor, Mr. Donahue.
Yes, be advised that on May the 28th, there was a conference hearing before Judge Eckel concerning the Penn Woods Winery case, and we are expecting a decision in order from the judge in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, Township Engineer, Nate.
Just 2 updates that aren't agenda items. One is we did get the permit submission into PennDOT for the Beaver Valley Pocket Park. That's going to be a park on some parcels the township acquired over the past few years, just west of 202. We need a PennDOT permit as we'll be adding a residential crosswalk there, crossing over to Ruby Road. It will also connect to the apartment complex. So we'll hear back from PennDOT in probably 30 days, give or take, and then we'll go from there. Second, the Schoolhouse Lane deceleration lane project is still active. It's still on everybody's radar. We just had 2 delays, one with a Verizon conflict and the second regarding a material item. So I will provide an update, and between Amanda and Lisa, we'll make sure when that detour goes up, we put plenty of notice out for that.
That's it? That's it. Amanda, Township Manager.
I just want to reiterate what Colleen say our staff is amazing, and I love working with them every day. The other thing that I do want to emphasize in the calendar on here is July 2nd. So there was a hearing that was postponed from today at 6:15 p.m. that has been postponed to July 2nd, and that's a conditional use hearing for Taco Bell, and that will be at 6 p.m. on July 2nd prior to the council meeting. So this is our announcement for that, and I wanted to make sure that that was reiterated.
Okay. Citizen comment? Anyone with any issues before the township? We would please ask you come forward. We would request your name and address and whatever your comment or question might be? Seeing none, we will move on with the agenda. Do we have somebody, everybody good? Okay, we're going to move on. The business item part of the agenda, first is the consent agenda. And we would be asking for a motion in a second when the time comes to approve first and foremost the council public meeting minutes of May 7th, 2024. Dana, I think we have some bills to pay.
Sure, thank you. Our total expenditures is $1,120,115.46, which consists of May payroll, $274,858.11, current bills totaling $655,201.18, and our sewer bills totaling $190,056.17.
Okay, and John, I think you have items C, D, E, and F, and if you would state what they are, please.
Certainly. First item would be the Concord Road North Sewer and Water Project. This is a certificate of payment, number 11, for McKinney Construction in the amount of $87,474.81, which consists of separately sewer, Chester Water Authority, Township Water, Concord Sewer Plant Water, and Concord Sewer Plant On-Site Water. That's all a subset of the $87,474.81. And then we have another one which is a little bit strange, but I'll cover that in a This is a release that dates back to 2003. This was an improvement security agreement between the township and the county prison. The project was for improvements to housing unit number 10, and we are still holding $47,916 as financial security. So this came through our treasurer, and now it's up for release. So that would be certificate number 1, a final to the George W. Hill Prison for $47,916. And next would be to advertise bids for the sewer plant fire suppression system, which is being, the specifications are being prepared by our sewer engineer. And the final item would be to award a bid for the Nickland Lane Storm Sewer Project, which is an ARPA project. Bids were received on May 30th, and 6 bids were received. The low bidder be Joseph J. Daniel, LLC. And we have a recommendation from our township engineer to award that contract to Joseph J. Daniel in the amount of $82,032.30. That would be the end of my recommendation.
And the last part of the consent agenda would be to appoint a deputy tax collector, Katie McVeary. This is at the request of our tax collector. There'll be no additional cost to the township or the school district for this alternate tax collector or deputy tax collector. And the duties and responsibilities of that tax collector would take effect only in circumstances where our tax collector is unable to fulfill their responsibilities on a timely basis, vacation, sickness, etc. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Second item, the ARPA updates. Nate, Amanda, you want to tell us where we're at with things, please?
Yeah, probably the 2 biggest updates that I'd have tonight. One was Mr. Gillespie already spoke to, the second phase of the Concord Woods project. You have awarded that tonight. That will be to restore some existing stormwater management features in that neighborhood. So that'll close out the work for that project. We'll work with the contractor, but hopefully get that done this summer. Second, one project that was on the list was the Andrian Road end wall that we had added to the ARPA list recently. We've elevated that after a recent site visit. That's determined to be more of an emergency situation due to the fire access lane and the utilities. We are working on getting an emergency permit from DEP, as well as coordinating quotes with local contractors. So we'll be moving a little bit quicker on that one than anticipated.
Okay. Octorara Trail update. Same guy.
Well, I can tell you that we're still waiting to hear back from their attorney. I don't know, Hugh, if you have any updates that you want to provide, but at this point, we've trying to still work with them on the route. It's our understanding that they recently just had a meeting, and we are anticipating them to come back to us, hopefully by the end of the week, with any comment.
Yes, to answer your question, no, we have not heard anything specific, and I believe that our gentleman from Pannoni Associates, who's been working on this very diligently, is looking for a response to his latest amended plan, and to my knowledge, he hasn't received an answer to that either.
Okay, any questions from anyone? Seeing none, we'll move on. Spring Valley Road speed hump request between Concord and Route 322. Nate, do you have any thing to fill us in on that? Or?
Yeah, so we had gotten an email a little while back regarding, this is going to be the segment, kind of a little forgotten stretch of Spring Valley Road between 322 and Concord Road. It's just a little kind of stub that just connects that. There's maybe a handful of houses at this point on that street. The request was, some sort of traffic calming or some sort of alternative there. So really the ask tonight is for council is for our office to just dig in there, take a closer look at the situation, see what maybe some options may or may not be. We'd like to kind of consider all options, one way, closing certain things, speed humps, all those kind of things will be part of the discussion, and brainstorm that a little bit, and then maybe come back to you guys with some recommendations. I don't want to promise for July, but later this summer maybe would be our goal.
What's everyone think? Would someone like to make a motion that we green light Nate to go do what he just said?
Yeah, I would like to make that motion. I also have a concern about it, but to make the motion, then we could discuss it.
Second.
Do we need a second?
Second.
John Crossing, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I know speed humps are things that come up from time to time throughout the township, and we do have a procedure about the number of residents on the street that have to agree. I know there's not a lot of residents on that street, maybe only a couple, but I guess we really need to decide if we want to change that policy or create something where we would allow that to happen. So I guess we really need to get into some kind of a discussion about what would be the right thing. I would like to see our engineer come back with a recommendation, whether it should be one way or cul-de-sac or speed humps or whatever, so then we can intelligently have some further discussion and possibly get something going.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to green light Nate to go ahead and do the scope of work regarding this particular one, but hopefully it could be looking at how we determine whether we put speed humps in or not for future locations. All in favor, please signify by saying aye, or Colleen, do you have something you want to say?
He's going to look at other alternatives besides speed bumps as well,
I
or
would think
just
so,
speed
right,
bumps?
Nate?
Yeah, we'll try to be comprehensive. Again, I know the residents here this evening. If I'm open to all ideas, we'll truth check all ideas.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is resolution number 26 of 2024. This is a resolution closing out the Community Conservation Partnership Grant Project BRC TAG 24144. And the study was to explore the potential of a community connection from a municipal park on Smithbridge Road to the First State National Historic Park. The purpose of the plan was to investigate the opportunities and constraints for improving pedestrian and bicycle connections through the study area in the southern portion of the township. This was the focus of a meeting that was held by Zoom, I guess about a week or so ago. It was very well attended, and a lot of great points were made by the residents in whose community a lot of this stuff was going to take place. The conclusion is that the project study concluded that new pedestrian and bicycle connections through residential portions of the study area are not feasible. However, enhancements to the existing roadway, such as sidewalks, crosswalks, and other pedestrian bicycle safety measures for segments 1 through 3 are achievable, which was the 202 corridor, if I'm not mistaken. But the most important part of this is that any connection that was shown through the residential portions of the study are not feasible. So I think we need to pass this motion in order to get the matching grant regarding the funding. So if I would have a motion to approve that resolution.
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sure.
Yeah, we are closing out the grant. If we decide to make some other improvements along roadways in the future, would we be able to recover or start another grant to help pay for that, should we decide to go in another direction?
Sure, sure. You completed the study and provided what the study outcomes were. So we've done every task according to the grant parameters. So this won't preclude us from anything. We've followed all the procedures, and this was the outcome.
Okay.
In fact, some of this work, particularly on the west side of 202, is contemplated as part of the Beaver Valley Park improvements, the new park, the connections over there. So that work is already underway, and I believe we'll continue to do that work.
Okay. Next on the batting order is Resolution 27 of 2024, Preliminary Land Development Plan, Orchard Knoll. Nate, you want to walk us through this?
Yeah, I think Amanda's bringing up the plan now, and I'll just briefly explain the project. I think most of council's familiar with this, some of the public as well. We've got a 22-lot subdivision and land development project. The project is located on the east side of Britton Lake Road, essentially behind the Costco. Access will be off of Britton Lake Road, which is a state road. There will be one lot off of Cedar Grove Drive. That's lot 22 on this plan. It'll be a loop street with emergency access out to Evergreen Drive, again, at the rear of the Costco. 22 single-family dwellings. It'll be a private community with private streets managed and owned by HOA. I think those are really the highlights. This plan has been around we've been working, the Planning Commission, the applicants team, probably going on about 2 years now, fine-tuning things. This tonight is a recommendation that the Planning Commission has made for preliminary plan approval. I believe there are no waivers attached to this plan at this point. This is a by-right plan. And we have made some recommended conditions. This will be a preliminary approval recommendation that we're asking for. So that, as we advance the final plan, they'll be just working out a few more kinks, but at this point, this is the plan, this is the layout, and it's really kind of crossing Ts, dotting Is. It's a very well-designed, developed plan at this point, so it'll just be kind of cleaning some things up, trying to preserve a few more trees, maybe increasing some landscaping buffers, things of that nature. So that's kind of my quick and dirty overview. I can certainly answer, any questions, more detail as needed.
Well, procedurally, I guess we would ask for a motion in a second, but following up on Nate's, does any member of council have a question before we get into the weeds on this thing, or just go with it and see what happens? If anyone in the audience has any comments, perhaps we ought to hear them now, and they might be addressed. No.
Thank you. Barbara Pleibel, I live on Mill Road. Thank you very much for all the visibility. We've had a number of conversations at the Planning Commission. Nate, we've talked as well. And really, I just have a number of points that I made at the Planning Commission, which is the property itself is on a very steep slope, right? So the gradation is 34 feet from at least the roadway on the one bottom all the way up to the top. And there's a concern in our neighborhood, which mostly abuts Mill Road, Roman Lane, and a number of the neighbors, that we're now going to be potentially looking at and dealing with noise from the retail and the industrial section. We already have noise and light challenges with the Costco. Hot beverage is a known challenge to a lot of us. Our neighborhood, those of us on Mill Road, are in a valley because this is up high, right? So the noise gets magnified and echoed. So anything that we can do now to help mitigate that, right? The trees is one example. The more we can do to keep as much of the existing mature trees, anything that we can do along the Costco buffer line as well as within this property and what they're doing to really, and I know there's a plan to demarcate a lot of the trees and really ensure, but maybe there's an ask to the developer if they'd be willing to also kind of sit down with the neighbors in addition to you guys and really look at these trees that will keep and maintain some height between the residential and the industrial and the retail areas would be very much appreciated. And anything we can do from a light perspective would also be very much appreciated. There's also some fairly significant berms, 9 feet, 11 feet as well. And we talked at the Planning Commission about trees and mature trees, and not just small landscaping, right? But things that would be mature enough to really give that a head start for whatever they might need to do. And
You mean retaining walls, not berms, retaining walls.
Thank you. Yes, retaining walls. Thank you. The, shoot.
Softening the landscaping around some
Yeah,
of those
yeah,
retaining
softening the
walls.
landscape, but I know, but I missed a point in there, but thank you for that. Mature, right? So that it's not smaller landscaping, that we give it enough of a chance and the clear cutting. And the point I was getting ready to make was, I assume that this property is then, once it's finally approved, going to be sold to another developer. So whatever we're doing to put in restrictions now, that the plan that gets sold is the plan that whoever is actually going to develop this property is the one that they maintain. And it's not a, oops, I'm sorry, I'm a subcontractor, I clear cut the property and I'll just pay whatever fine. That we really are very meticulous about making sure that we do whatever we can to protect. We've done a lot of work of, at least from a resident perspective, looking at the stormwater plans, but we are right along a creek way that does flood pretty substantially a number of times. One of my neighbors can talk to that. Whatever we can do to really make sure that we're helping that situation and not hindering it, because it is steep slope, would also be very much appreciated. And then I understand there are going to be some restrictions or requests put in around the easement that heads out to Mill Road to make sure that that is maintained as a non-buildable according to the HOA.
That is one of the
Yeah.
conditions in here.
Right, would also be very much appreciated. So I'll
Okay.
end with the plea on noise, light, would be very much appreciated, anything that we can do
Okay.
to keep it mature.
Okay. Nate, I think you were having a meeting as recent as about 2-3 hours ago with the neighbors?
Yes.
Yes.
So, do you feel that this resolution accomplishes a lot of those bullet points that were just raised to us?
Yeah, I think I tried to, understanding some of the residents' concerns. We had a site meeting a month or so back. Listening to them at the Planning Commission, I tried to word in some appropriate conditions that, as we advance from preliminary to final, we try to address as the best we can, because I think we share similar concerns regarding landscaping, protection of existing trees. Those are all priorities of ours as well. So I think we've got some language in there that'll help with that.
Okay.
And then, again, maybe one more meeting with the developers team at some point, just to fine tune the landscape, and we go a long way to keep everybody happy.
And further tighten that up at final?
Yep.
Plan, right, correct? Okay.
Much appreciated,
All right,
thank
I'm
you.
gonna read the resolution in, and then we can go from there as far as actions from council. I was gonna read them and then ask for the motion in a second. Okay, so this will be Resolution 27 of 2024. There's only 85 conditions. No, there's only 21 conditions. It's just as bad. It would be approved, preliminary plan approval, subject to the following comments. Number one, all comments contained within the following review letters. Pannoni letter dated April 16th, 2024, and these are all attached. HRG letter dated March 29th, 2024. Thomas Comita memorandum dated November 20th, 2023, last revised on March 12th, 2024. Fire Marshal's email dated March 29th, 2024. Number two, developer agrees to endeavor to address to the satisfaction of Concord Township engineer the comments contained in the Thornbury Township letter dated February 12th, 2024, attached as Exhibit E, and the comments contained in the Delaware County Planning Commission letter dated August 18th, 2023, attached to Exhibit F. Number three, submission to the township of all required permits and external approvals, including but not limited to PennDOT highway occupancy permits, PADEP sewage facility planning module exemptions, and PADEP NPDES permits. Number 4, lighting locations shall be further reviewed by the township at the final plan stage for consideration in reducing the number of lights. Number 5, lighting and landscaping must be maintained per the recorded plan and replaced in kind as needed. Any substitutions are subject to the approval of the township. Number 6, the waiver request from 16050E1A regarding replacement trees is not granted. Applicants shall include all deficient plantings, including plantings in coordination with the township landscape consultants. 7, the final plan shall document appropriate procedures subject to review by the township engineer and township landscape consultants to demarcate and protect all existing trees that are to remain. Number 8, applicants shall endeavor to adjust the proposed grading and provide for appropriate measures to preserve additional existing trees to the maximum extent feasible. Number 9, the site cross-section shall be revised to an appropriate horizontal scale as determined by the township engineer. I was here that night, and that was very difficult to read. So hopefully we'll get that cleaned up before final. Number 10, all improvements are to be owned and maintained by the HOA. Number 11, prior to the construction, engineered design for the proposed retaining wall shall be submitted for peer review by the township engineer. Ownership, maintenance, responsibilities of the retaining wall shall be clarified prior to final approval. Number 12, a recorded easement or other agreement regarding emergency access over Evergreen Drive to Baltimore Pike shall be submitted with the final plan submission. 13, the emergency access shall be restricted by locking gate or similar of a style determined by the fire marshal and the township engineer. 14, an executed operation and maintenance agreement as well as a contribution to the municipal stormwater control and BMP operation and maintenance fund is required in the amount of $30,157. Number 15, all deeds, legal descriptions, easements, stormwater maintenance agreements, HOA documents, and or similar, including those regarding Lot 22 Cedar Grove Drive, shall be provided in a draft format with the final plan submission for review and approval by the township engineer and the township solicitor. 16, developer agrees to enter into a development and improvement security agreement prior to the release of signed plans. 17, regarding Lot 22 Cedar Grove Drive, applicant is required per resolution number 53, 2010 and 19, 2011 to install public water and sewer service. Number 18, regarding Lot 22 Cedar Grove Drive, applicant shall provide clarification with the final plan submission regarding existing proposed maintenance, ownership of the road, stormwater basin, and similar with final plan submission. 19, pedestrian access shall be extended to Britton Lake Road. 20, accommodations for school children at the Britton Lake Road intersection shall be addressed with the final plan. 21, the portion of the property extending to Mill Road shall be deed restricted from any improvements and maintained by the HOA in good condition. Area shall be an easement for a future township access utility, including but not limited to trails and sanitary sewer. So it would be approved subject to those 21 conditions. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have comments on conditions 10, 12, and 17. Number 10, all improvements are to be owned and maintained by a homeowners association. Nate, can you tell me what all improvements mean?
Sure. It's going to be a private road network. There's no public streets here. Open space, stormwater basins, street lights, the amenities as part of the kind of the park and recreation requirements, and which would be like the trails, playground equipment, things of that nature, emergency access drive. Those would be the typical improvements that the HOA would own and maintain.
So when I look at condition 17, okay, regarding lot 22 only, okay.
So yeah, so that's a separate lot, right?
Okay. So back to number 10 again. All improvements, so that would be sanitary sewer you're talking about.
Sanitary sewer will be easements to the township.
But the sewer, will that be in the roadway or will be
Sew-
off on the shoulder?
The sewer will be in the roadway with easements to the township.
Okay. All right, now, comment number 12. Recorded easement over Evergreen Drive to Baltimore Pike shall be submitted with the final plan submission. Can we get an idea from the applicant where we stand on that presently?
Can you give us your name, please, and your address and your position?
Sure, Greg Edelman from Kaplan Stewart representing the applicant. We have a written easement agreement that's agreed to. My firm also represents Fred Weitzman, who's, as you know, the principal of the association that owns the Evergreen Drive. So we will have a easement agreement
I
that
thought
will be
you said
signed.
you had it, and then you just said you would submit it, but
No, we have one drafted. It is not. It
has
is
not
not
been
ex-
signed yet.
It is not executed. Typically, we would not execute until after final plan, prior to recording, but we understand the importance of this agreement. So we're willing to have it executed prior to final plan submission, so this council will be aware that it's in place
Thank you.
prior to final plan approval.
That's all I have.
Any other questions
you.
or comments?
Yeah, and so in terms of the lighting, you said, and you noted lighting location will be determined prior to final. Nate, can you speak to the current lighting?
Yeah, I think currently we have about 6 lights, I think, throughout the site, give or take one. And I think the commentary was, for this kind of type of rural, suburban context, is that maybe too many lights, just to kind of reduce that light glare for some of the adjacent property owners? So we're looking at maybe reducing that down to maybe 2 lights, maybe one at Britton Lake and one at the internal intersection. That's kind of more what we do in some of the more, suburban, rural context in Chester County as well. So just maybe downsizing the lights a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say the intersection of this private road with Britton Lake Road would be, I think, from a safety perspective, important, but to the residents' concern about minimizing the general light glare, I think that's good. With regard to the trails, they seem a little squirrely, and so prior to final plan, it would be nice to know kind of why they are the way they are and if they could connect a bit more. I understand there may be some terrain challenges, but would like to see those trail amenities a little more congruous. I would like to just note, I suppose, for the record and for the residents, nearby residents that are here, the township, these properties have been up for discussion previously. This is a combination of 2 properties, the Panarella property and PSAC property, and there's actually a 3rd property in this as well. But the 2 larger ones, the Panarella and PSAC property, particularly PSAC was subject to a previous development discussion, and the township did engage in good faith discussions with both of those owners regarding purchasing this land for open space. We engaged an appraiser. We had those discussions with the owners, and were unfortunately not able to reach agreement. And so I do want the residents to know that that was a consideration, and that I believe that this plan is a good plan given the alternatives of development.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As stated previously, item number 7 is getting bumped into our July meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming out this evening.